Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 515 being recorded September 26, 2018. I'm Alan Malventano.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Ken Addison.
We need a soundboard with like the mic feedback squeal that you can just on demand like,
No,
you know.
No one needs that.
No?
No, never.
Okay. Anyway.
I think Jim might have one, but no.
He probably does.
Unacceptable.
So yeah, it's a podcast. We're going to talk about PC hardware and stuff. You know, those things. Wait a minute. This is not the
Other way. Right to left.
podcasty
I have to go
things.
right to left.
That's how they
We're going
open.
to be casting
Okay.
pods.
Actually, I should do that from now on. Okay.
I'm a genius.
I usually just rearrange them after I open them and crap, and it's just tedious.
And now we're going to do it live.
PCPro.com/subscribe is where you can give us your name, your email address. We'll let you know before we're going to... Did the email go out today?
Nope.
Nope. It's where we might have let you know that we were about to record a thing, but if not, then we usually record them Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Patreon.com/PCPer, where you can help us keep the lights on. One of the perks of which we had to take a week off from, just due to scheduling and too many people being out at the date and time that we usually do the mailbag video. So unfortunately, no mailbag this week, but we don't usually take those off. So we'll make up for it next week. I was gonna try to fill in on it, but then the set of questions that Jim asked me or sent me were like, there was only one good storage question in there that I could competently answer, and everything else was probably something that Ken would be suited to answer. But
Probably not.
yeah, I don't know. Ken doesn't want to do a mailbag video, I guess. I don't know. I didn't ask him. I'm just assuming.
Nobody needs that.
No? Okay. I mean, you're not a bad guy.
That's kind of a dark.
I didn't think I'm a bad guy, Alan. I just don't like being on video.
What? But you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
You're on video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
He's
Am I
in
muted,
denial.
or are they just ignoring me?
Who? What?
Am I muted, or are you just being mean to me?
No, we just started hearing you now.
Oh, okay. Well, geez. Ken, that's kind of a dark shirt you got on.
The wrong way around.
Do you mean like
comment?
dark content-wise or dark color-wise?
No, content-wise.
It is very dark.
If you have any objections, you can contact @BitwitKyle on Twitter. And then there you go.
Oh, is that it?
It's a Bitwit shirt.
It's a Bitwit shirt?
Yeah.
This is pretty good. All right.
Let's just say I wouldn't wear this out and about necessarily,
Probably not.
but for the podcast.
So if you go to Josh Tech with 2 Ks and not an H at the end, .com, you can get to our merch store, which is actually on Teespring. You know, all the fan favorites, Death Wish Raid and Hot Dog Down Hallway, and I still need to send Colleen a Death Wish Raid shirt. Since she was the one that coined that, I believe, right?
I think it was a little bit before my time.
Yeah, it was her. She had Velociraptors in a Raid 0. And I think she was the one that said it was Death Wish Raid. Anyway, you can get the Josh Tech print with 2 T's. I didn't notice that until now.
There's a thing.
Really? See how the mug has 2 G's?
The mug has 2. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Anyway, Josh Tech shirt, Josh Tech mug. I still need to get a Josh Tech mug.
I use mine daily.
Yeah.
I do as well. I need to get an actual T-shirt. My mother sent me like money and said, you need to buy your own. I was like, I'm not going to buy my own. That's egotistical. She doesn't care. So I need to buy my own.
Yeah.
And it'll go well with your print.
Mother's.
So before we get into the news, hey, it's that fragging frog time again. You know, the big old LAN party that we kind of throw every year. The forum guys put together, and Jeremy usually does more participation than the rest of us, but the rest of us try to join in. 10 a.m. Eastern on October 13th. What day of the week is that? Is that weekend?
Ooh, I don't know.
Saturday.
Saturday?
think it's not a Friday.
Yeah.
Gonna need you to come in on Saturday. Anyway, do we have a list of games? No list of games. Oh, there's a thread. Have to look at the
Dino
thread.
D-Day.
Is no game list here?
I keep going down.
Oh, okay.
It's the next post.
Oh, you're clicking on the wrong one.
What? Oh, sorry.
Click on the link that says,
Games.
head over and
Oh, head over to the gaming forum.
pick the games you want to play. That sort of weird thing.
Speak, blah, blah, blah. Games. I don't see that really cool tank game that came out like last year, but is pretty popular still.
World of Tanks.
No, I forgot the name of it. It's like that old school 2D tank game, but it's just like a newer spin on it.
Battle Zone?
No. The one that's literally a 2D little silly mountainous profile with like a couple of tanks on it, and you have to do the trajectory thing, right?
Scorched Earth?
It's like Scorched Earth, but it's like a newer version of it.
Well, sign up and put it in the list once you figure out what it's called.
Yeah, just the name escapes me because it's not Scorched Earth, and that's the one that is stuck in my head from 30 years ago when I used to play that all the time. No, there's like a newer spin on it. It's got like all sorts of like upgrades, and I don't know how many people you can do multiplayer, but it's a lot. Like way more than a couple, like how Scorched Earth used to be. And you don't have to like share the keyboard anymore.
More than 2. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Multiplayer.
Not BattleTech, Ericon. I'll look it up in a minute when one of your other guys are talking. Anyway, yeah, so do that LAN party thing. Maybe some of us, if we're around, will try to join in. I think I'm
I think I should be around to hop in.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that busy on that weekend. I don't have my calendar.
I always like to play some UT2K4.
Yeah,
It'll happen. Just make sure you download all the patches because there's probably about 50 gigs worth at this point.
Yeah.
It's true. Okay, might as well get into the weekend review. First up, pretty quick one. I threw together. Ken had reviewed that Falcon Northwest machine, which we
just gave away.
Mm-hmm. Did we announce that anywhere? Are we going to talk about that in a minute? I don't think we talked about the giveaway on the podcast, like the fact that we gave it away.
I mean, that's not...
Okay.
Only one person cares about that.
I know.
Yeah, there was a winner. I'm pretty sure we mentioned it on Twitter, but in reality, there's only one person that cares about the giveaway being over, and that's the dude who has the system now.
We were doing a giveaway. It was a really beefy build in a relatively small case, too. That was like a...
Small form factor system.
Yeah, small form factor. Tiki. With a bunch of power in there, including a 1.5 terabyte Optane SSD that had not been officially released by Intel until September 20th, which is when I put the review up, because I couldn't get an answer, like an official answer out of like Intel. Like I know you had asked Falcon Northwest, and they're like, yeah, sure, but like that kind of like wasn't Intel, and anybody that I asked were like, we're releasing a 1.5 terabyte capacity. So I was like, okay, well, and then one morning in my email out of nowhere came, hey, we're announcing a 1.5 terabyte capacity. And I was like, hey, I've already reviewed that. Good. I can post that review now. Anyway. So I did. We had the 2.5-inch version, which does not light up with all the RGBs like the 905p that's a add-in card form factor. But not only is it a 2.5-inch form factor, also it doesn't have what we're used to seeing inside the 2.5-inch form factor. That's usually a beefy SSD. Usually there's like
a sandwich.
It's like a sandwich PCB with like a heavy duty ribbon along one edge of like kind of like a taco of a couple of PCBs that kind of fold over each other. No, only one PCB in here, which combined with being 1.5 terabytes means that if you do the math, that means that Intel is stacking dies 8 high in these packages. And as far as I understand, this is the first time I've seen Intel do that ever on anything. Like I'm talking any kind of SSD, NVMe, NAND, SATA, like it doesn't matter. They've never stacked higher than 4. So So they must be really confident in their ability to, you know, stack these things higher. Because I think they've shied away from not going past 4 because it's kind of the thing where if you know, if it comes out of that process and you get a dud, you just kind of cooked 3 other dies that were fine. That I don't think is very easy to get back out of that package and like do anything else with. Like it's pretty much just, you're just tossing them.
Yeah.
So they must just have more confidence in their ability to do this now.
What's the duct tape that it holds it together?
Yeah. So that was interesting that they're, you know, jamming that all on one PCB like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed because you had my full attention at the ribbon PCB taco.
Did it make you hungry?
Sure.
Sorry.
Forbidden tacos.
But there was no ribbon PCB taco in here, unfortunately. Sorry, Josh.
Was it an SSD tornado?
No, not really.
Damn.
More like quesadilla?
Cross-point quesadilla. Anyway, ran it through our suite compared to the previous 905P that we had reviewed before. And lo and behold, the results were basically exactly the same thing. So this is, you know, yes, the 905P was slightly faster than the 900P. That was due to, I think they run the controller at a slightly higher frequency and things like that. But it's not media limited. It's like the media limit is way, way beyond what the controller's doing at this point. I mean, the controller itself, like even if you get to a smaller 900p, like I think the 280 gig 900p still like had really good performance. So it doesn't really matter how much crosspoint you put behind a thing. It's pretty much going to make the controller the bottleneck immediately. And testament to the consistency of our test suite, usually you can't test 2 different devices and get numbers that close to each other. Like I think I did the math somewhere. Yeah, within 0.1%. So those drives are definitely like basically the same performance. Same kind of deal with the sequentials, random, mixed workload, was a little bit higher on the read throughput on the mixed workload. In other words, while there's a background write going on, maybe there's a slightly newer version of firmware on this that kind of gave you a little bit of a difference there, but it's probably just, you know, it didn't even work out to 0.1 second difference between the previous model. So it's just going to go fast no matter what you throw at it. But interesting thing to bring up here, 970 Pro, only 0.3 seconds behind the Optane parts in like a pretty much like a typical workload. Optane parts would probably go faster on this test if they weren't bottlenecking the sequential throughput at the controller. Like an Optane SSD is only using roughly probably close to half of the theoretical bandwidth that it could. And that's a controller limit. So 970 Pro is faster than that in sequential. It actually beats Optane in sequentials. So it's able to kind of catch up on this test. Anyway, $1.47 a gig. Definitely pricey.
That's not cheap.
It's not cheap. $2,200 for a terabyte and a half of it.
No. Stay with me here. What if it was 10 cents a gig?
I mean, it's still a lot of money because it's a terabyte and a half, but that would be...
But what if it was 10 cents a gigabyte?
I mean, it would be cheap.
I'm sorry, Ryan's not here, so I had to play the part.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I do find it odd that the price was where it is for this part, considering like kind of the excuse on the previous card we reviewed was that it was an add-in card. It had RGBs and other stuff on it to kind of like jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah.
This doesn't have any of that. It's just a 2.5-inch part. You'd figure it would be cheaper per gig.
Although we have yet to actually see this for sale. That's just kind of a preliminary number we got for that system article. So
yeah,
who really knows how much it will be?
Well, it needs to be cheaper than that. Because it should at least
would be nice.
It should at least be the same cost per gig as like, you know, the add-in card with less capacity. Right? So
yeah.
So Alan, what's the endurance on one of these? Is it significantly higher than an NVMe standard?
10 drive writes per day.
Oh.
For the consumer. Enterprise parts have now been upgraded to 30 drive writes per day, I believe.
So you get what you pay for.
You can beat the crap out of this thing. Like, it's just seriously.
I'm currently beating the crap out of an Optane SSD in our our GPU capture test.
Trust me, for what you're doing with it, it's laughing it off.
Yeah.
Like, it really is.
I mean, I'm doing like 5 or 6 drive writes a day on a good day.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're doing more.
Yeah.
Would you put the 280 in there or something?
The 480, I think.
There's one of the 480. You're doing that much?
So,
this is 4K capture.
4K 60 capture for one GPU is like 900 gigs.
For like a minute?
Yeah. Well, no. For all of the games we test, 2 runs.
Oh, okay.
Going through one GPU at 4K testing for our frame rating it's like 960 gigs.
4K frame rating, man. If you want to gobble up some gigabytes.
Yep.
That's definitely one way to do it. The chat says if it was 10 cents a gig, they'd buy 2. That's fair. Hell, I'd probably buy 2.
Hey, use one at the doorstop.
Get your rate on.
Yeah. Death Wish raid those. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Yeah, but I mean, the endurance is just, it's ridiculous compared to, it's basically enterprise grade endurance for a consumer part. And I've ran their enterprise part through the client test suite. It's pretty much the same. Doesn't really, sometimes enterprise parts are going to do something like the tuning's a little different for enterprise workloads or whatever. This thing, it's crosspoint. It doesn't care. You throw 4K random at it for like a day. It doesn't, nothing changes. Like it's just so consistent.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, Ken did a review.
Ken did.
It's like we have this steady stream of GPUs to review. Suddenly.
Don't remind me.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the first of these new custom cards for Turing we took a look at is the MSI RTX 2080 Gaming X Trio, which is, just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
As usual. It's a triple fan design. The fans aren't symmetric, as we noticed. So actually, if you scroll down to the photo, you can see the 2 fans on the left and right hand side are bigger than, or the middle and right hand side fans are bigger than the left hand side, which just kind of bothered me once I noticed it. I remember we were actually measuring it when we first got this card because it kind of looked like all 3 fans were different sizes, which would have been kind of wacky.
So it's kind of an optical illusion between the center and the right, because you think the right one's smaller, but it's the frame tapers off.
Yeah, you remember the Lightning series that had the 3 fans that, though 2 were the same size, one was smaller.
Yeah,
I think Sebastian's got that one still.
So the Gaming X Trio is essentially the evolution of the Lightning brand. They had one for the 1080 Ti, and then this is the 2080 and the 2080 Ti, and it's a pretty similar cooler all around from an appearance.
It dawned on me the other day, and I don't know if you'd realize it or not, I know why that other fan is smaller.
Why?
The bridge. Look above the fan.
Yeah.
There's a removable plate.
Yeah, so if you scroll down, there's a photo of that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Where's the bridge?
It's about half. Next photo.
There you go. So there's like a removable section where this would be, you only have to remove it from one of the 2 cards that's in a SLI or whatever
it's still called SLI.
It's still called SLI.
Yeah. So this is so you have the additional clearance for the NVLink bridge.
Yeah. Because this heatsink assembly,
it's very tall.
Yeah, it goes like an inch or maybe a little more above the normal plane of, where the card would top out at.
They moved from a 8+6 design on the reference or the founders RTX 2080 to an 8+8.
Yep.
Doesn't really seem all of that necessary to me.
Can this card do like the 130% power limit thing?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
And it comes with this cool club, essentially, like this bracing bracket.
Oh, so your card doesn't sag.
Yeah, because it is a thick boy.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It's
it's sag more
12.9 inches long.
3.5 pounds.
Yeah, it is gigantic.
That's a lot to put on a dang PCI slot.
Which is exactly why they give you a brace. Possible deniability.
We have come full circle.
Yeah. So it has a 35 megahertz overclock over the Founders Edition, which is already a 90 megahertz. So
okay, out of the box.
Yeah, out of the box. In our testing, I mean, it didn't really provide much additional benefit over the Founders and sort of out of the box experience. It was a bit faster.
35% or 35 megahertz.
Not a lot.
It's not a lot when it's already 2 gigahertz ish.
Yeah.
Right. So like, yeah.
So out of the box, it's a tiny bit faster, maybe a couple of percent. Still doesn't close the gap with the 1080 Ti and in the scenarios where it was an issue with the Founders Edition.
Yep.
However, if you start to look at the overclocking at the clock speeds and the temperatures, it becomes very impressive.
Such as this. So there's the
this is a stock configuration.
Yep.
You should be able to click that, and I don't think it'll be too gigantic, but we get a better view of it. Nope, it's gigantic.
It's gigantic.
So the clock speeds in stock configuration hover just below 2 gigahertz, while the temperatures are about 65 C.
Yeah, it's not getting anywhere near. So usually you would see the frequency noticeusly taper off by another.
Obviously, it's not thermally limited in this scenario.
It's just not even getting close. Like it has to be like low 70s, mid 70s before it starts to back off on these new ones.
Yeah,
right.
And if you compare this to the Founders Edition, which is about 70 degrees Celsius for similar clock speeds, to be honest. And then we did a manual overclock in which
it's still like the temperature.
Yeah, the temperature didn't move, which is awesome.
Doesn't even care.
And then we hit about 2025, I think.
So this was this was with the power limit increased?
Yeah. So the power limit the slider goes to 110%.
Okay.
Whereas some cards go a little higher. We asked MSI about this, and they said it's because their base power target in the VBIOS is already higher.
Oh, in order for them to get there.
110% does mark the 300 watt limit for a 2080. So everyone's going to end up in the same place no matter what the percentages kind of work out to.
Yeah. Same end goal, but damn, look at that temperature.
Yeah.
Given that would be the equivalent of you maxing out on any other card, right? Like just, okay, so that's a good cooler,
dude,
clearly.
2 gigahertz still blows my mind.
Yeah.
For a GPU, and especially a GPU as large as this one.
It's very interesting. Both the 2080 and 2080 Ti clock speeds are very similar. They all seem to hit somewhere between 2 and 2.1, closer to the 2 side.
It's like they had
about 230, 240, 250.
It's like they had 2 full years to like tune this crap and like their silicon.
But I mean, just by die size alone, you'd expect maybe a little extra frequency out of the 2080, but it seems to be a pretty hard limit at just under 2.1.
Just the idea of this many transistors going 2 gigahertz is just crazy to me.
I think Jensen Huang actually sold his soul for these numbers.
Yeah. If you scroll down a little bit, and the next chart after that, this is actually an interesting result. So we ran the NVIDIA scanner, which is the sort of built-in automated overclocking built into the betas of Precision X1 and MSI Afterburner.
Yeah, and it only got you.
Yeah, so that overclock was about, let's see, 2025 is where it sustained. And our manual overclock, which took, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes of additional tuning, only got us an extra 15 megahertz. So really, it seems like if you just run the NVIDIA scanner, apply the voltage curve, and then increase the power offset to the maximum, because the NVIDIA scanner doesn't do that, you're pretty much as good as you're going to get.
Those two, even though they look far apart here, like if this was a 0...
the scale is zoomed way in, so you can actually see any difference.
If this was 0 axis, those lines would almost be overlapping.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The one interesting point there, though, like you were manually tuning, and you probably got it to the max you can get where it's stable and not artifacting and whatnot, right? But like the NVIDIA scanner is going to be a little more conservative because it's doing this computational workload that like they know what the answer to the problem is. And like if that starts to get off, in other words, they're going to catch things sooner before it even gets to the point where you would see like graphical hitches and things like that, right? So, I mean, in this case, it's if you just want absolute stability, you're probably better off just stick with the NVIDIA thing, just leave that.
And actually, the other cool thing about NV Scanner is you can still run the test against NVIDIA's sort of proprietary workload, and it'll give you a confidence rating. So I think it was 90% confidence for our manual
with your overclock.
So you can get a pretty good gauge as to what the relative stability of your manual overclock is going to be.
How long does that take when you do like that check?
It's I would say close. It's 15 to 20 minutes.
No, not the whole process. Just like you did your manual overclock. You want to get the
probably about 5 minutes. I think. I don't know. I've just mostly looked over at another computer while I was running it and really timed it. Yeah, it's not a long thing at all.
Okay.
I just noticed I have the wrong chart in here because there's supposed to be one about sound.
And what did you put instead? Another overclock performance.
Yeah, the text is in there correctly though. So it was.
That's a lot of decibels. Wow.
Yeah.
The MSI card was 2 dB quieter than the 2080 Ti or the 2080 Founders Edition, and 6 dB.
Not really a lot.
6 dB quieter than the 1080 Ti Founders Edition.
Okay.
So for a similar performance, obviously you're just going to spend a little more on the 2080. You're getting a lot more of a cool and quiet experience.
I forget, is it like 6 dB that's like twice?
I think it's
3 or 6.
I think it's 6.
Okay.
And now you could obviously have a third-party or 1080 Ti cards that are a lot quieter than the reference edition. I just thought it was an interesting statistic in there.
Yeah. What were you saying, Alex?
It's logarithmic. 3 for double, 10 for 10.
Oh, okay.
It's a $50 price premium. It kind of puts me in a weird spot. I don't really think anyone should buy a 2080 in general.
The problem is it's a $50 price premium over an already overpriced thing. Yeah. Like a thing that needs to come back by like a couple $100.
Yeah.
Honestly, for the TI. The $50 extra is sort of standard for like the badass cooler version, right? Like that's 1080 Ti's were the same way.
I mean, if you are shopping for a 2080, I think this is a great option and definitely something to consider. But, you know, it's still difficult to recommend the 2080 at this point while 1080 Ti's still exist in the channel.
Yeah.
Which I imagine will probably change pretty soon.
Oh, and that from the chat is reminding me that scanner works on the 10 series cards too, the new scanner.
No, it doesn't. Not yet.
It doesn't?
They said they're going to look into backporting it, but it doesn't currently. Oh. Because it's using GPU Boost 3 stuff where it's able to set the curve, the voltage frequency curve in a couple different spots.
Yeah.
So it doesn't support it right now. They're not against it. I think NVIDIA...
I think there's a guy that was playing with it because he's talking about it in the chat.
Doesn't work. That scanner doesn't work yet.
I think that's the EVGA precision he's talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's coming. Okay, how about that?
I think it will come at some point. It's just, you know, not exactly high on NVIDIA's priority list, I'd imagine.
These backplates are just nicer now.
Yeah.
Between like the Founders cards and like look at this one. That's cool.
Yeah, needs that extra support.
Yeah.
Also, yes.
Badly.
Yeah.
Graphics cards are so massive with this generation. It's crazy.
Almost makes me want to like get a case that's flipped back around the right way again. I'll stick with my upside down and backwards case.
Yeah.
With the window on the right side.
Yeah. Oh, and Scott was correcting me. I think it's GPU Boost 4. It's the new one.
So we were talking earlier about how the frequency doesn't it pretty much locks in at full boogie. There's not much headroom.
As long as you can keep the temperature.
If you can keep the temperatures in check.
Yeah.
Is there any announcements or plans to release any sort of water cooling blocks for these?
Yeah, I know EK has announced blocks that should be shipping soon. The EVGA hybrid cooler add-on is supposed to be shipping in October, I think. So, yeah, it shouldn't be too far.
But the thing is, you probably won't get anything else out, like compared to one like this. You're not really going to get more performance. Yes, it'll be quieter, provided your system is
It won't
quieter.
take up 3 slots.
Yeah, it won't take up 2.5 or 3 slots, right? So I mean, it's got that going for it, but if you can't crank the power any higher than 300 watts or whatever the percentage is, whatever the total percentage is.
Yeah,
like you're just not gonna get any more out of the card,
and that's where you get into shunt mods.
yeah, and then you've got to start
with your $850 graphics card.
Yeah,
so you know,
it's not really heat limited; it's more power limited.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, with these cards, you can give it all of the power limit and all of the additional voltage it'll take, and then
the voltage it just won't let you.
Yeah, it's only plus 100, I think, on the voltage offset. So
but that voltage offset is really because the power limit kicking in, which it's doing first anyway, is going to pull back the voltage in order to reduce the power. So it's like the voltage slider is almost irrelevant, compared to.
I was asking because I seem to recall on some of our previous reviews of video cards, we've seen ones that do really weird things with power envelopes. Like, you can see the frequency start kind of hunting around a little bit, but this is rock solid.
Yeah. I mean, 1080s, they would kind of bounce around just shuffling between like the power limit and temperature limit, depending on the card, like depending on how good the cooler is on the card, but like a good EVGA, like a FTW3 card or something like that for a 1080 Ti, like it just rides the power limit the whole time because the cooling's more than enough. So anyway,
you know what's sad?
What?
Very sad. I still remember the day when $200 was the top end price for a cutting edge graphics card.
200?
I mean, they were much simpler at the time. It's like Riva 128 type cards, but 4 megs of memory and a very small GPU and limited cooling. Extremely so.
I thought you were going to go with like a Cirrus Logic card, Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
An
S3.
Well, remember the Voodoo graphics when it came out? It was originally $299, and that was after memory prices went down dramatically when they first announced it to when that actually was shipping. And then, 8 months after that, it was $199.
Yep.
Yeah. The salad years. Salad.
I don't remember how much it was, but it was like Diamond Stealth 3000 or whatever. The S3 Verge card that came out with like the little extra, like it was like a stacked board because they couldn't fit enough RAM. So there's like an extra little stack, like penthouse on like the backboard.
The Permedia cards that you could actually buy the individual RAM things, and they had sockets in there you could plug in if you needed more.
Oh, jeez.
Video memory.
Like the AW32 with the freaking DIMM slots on it.
Can you imagine? Just plug in some more GDDR6. I'm sure we could make that work very well socketed.
I'm sure that'll work.
At 14 gigabits.
Well, if you make your bus wide enough,
I guess. I think that card was like a good $300 or $400 though for that damn diamond card.
Yeah.
And like the only thing that ran the extra graphics was like the version of MechWarrior that it was for it. MechWarrior, the game made for every possible type of,
Yeah, MechWarrior 2.
Yeah. They had the Windows version, the S3 Verge version. There was like the DOS version, and then there was a fourth. Oh, for the Voodoo.
Yeah.
There was the Voodoo version.
I've got, in fact, oh God, hang on.
I might have all 4
Always
of those.
gotta move.
I might still have all 4 of those discs somewhere.
It's time to play What Can Josh Grab?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's it.
3D Rage Edition.
Nice.
Yep. Oh yeah, Rage 3. That's what the 4th one was. It wasn't Voodoo.
No, they made a Voodoo as well.
No,
and
so
then
there was freaking 5.
Mercenaries, they had another Voodoo edition as well.
Is that was the one where you could play the soundtrack in your CD player?
Good old Red Book.
Couldn't play track 0 or track 1 because you'd like hear the game.
Not the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah. I would like listen to that in my car and stuff. Like that CD spent a lot of time in my CD changer in my car. What?
Did you ever forget that you had Yellow Book audio in there as well? So you forget to skip track 1 and you get
the CD player in my car. Yeah, it would totally faithfully play back those bits into whatever music that happened to turn into
the song of your people.
It was PC EDM, I guess.
Just ahead of its time.
Yeah, way ahead of its time. Okay. I guess we're shifting over to news. Oh, look, another Ken thing. Facebook announces Oculus Quest.
It's a bad name. I'm just going to preempt this with saying it's a bad name.
All-in-one VR system. Okay.
So, the Oculus Rift, obviously, the wired PC VR headset, with the external trackers and all that stuff, all that fun stuff that we've had for a couple of years at this point. And then last year at Oculus Connect, the developer conference, they launched Oculus Go, which was essentially the Gear VR built into a standalone headset. It did 3DoF tracking, so it could track where you moved your head in space, but if you started to walk around the room, it would just freak out.
Yeah.
It wouldn't know.
That was the one that I was really impressed with the visual quality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the
Go.
The 1440p screen, I think, where they're using the different sort of lenses, so it actually looked, there was no real screen door effect. We were pretty impressed with the visual quality.
It was very impressive.
Yeah. Use the Gear VR store. You could do all the like Plex VR stuff and all of that fun stuff. It came with a simple remote instead of full touch controllers like the desktop Rift.
It was done well enough where you can actually read text in the interface, whereas with the Rift and the Vive, like, you really can't.
Yeah.
Or it's difficult if it's too small.
Now, what if you merged those two different platforms and had a platform right there in the middle, and you called it Oculus Quest, which is a dumb name still?
So is it still, but it's not PC connected?
No, this is a standalone. It looks like it was later confirmed to be a Snapdragon 835 based experience.
Okay.
It has real touch controllers. So it has
Does it come with a bucket?
It does not come with a bucket.
I think it might want to with a Snapdragon.
I mean, that's what the Oculus Go.
So it's not room scale. You can't.
It is room scale. It has 6DoF tracking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's completely room scale without any external sensors. Which is kind of the big point here.
Okay.
Now, we saw the Lenovo Mirage Solo, the Google Daydream headset launch last year that did a similar thing with 6DoF tracking, but this Oculus is sort of first venture into it.
$400. So
$400.
Runs all the same things that the Go ran?
No. So they essentially have 3 different software platforms now. They have the Go, which is the Gear VR store. They have whatever this is going to be, and then they have the full Oculus store on desktop on Windows.
Okay, that's a nightmare. Developers are not going to sit here and like...
Well, the one thing they said today is that they plan on keeping these 3 tiers going forward, and that they will maintain software SDK compatibility between them. So you'll always be able to target the middle headset or the low end one, or you could target all of them. Right. Like you could build a game that targets all of them. It would just be more complicated dealing with the different graphical hardware levels.
That's what they need is just a simple way to code for just to have it just work across all 3.
Yeah. And they're touting versions of some of the games that you find on desktop like Robo Recall and The Climb and Moss.
Yeah.
Will be available at launch, I guess, which is next spring.
It's still a mess even if you coded for all 3 then, because you have to launch, you have to put them, you have to compile them for the different platforms.
I mean, there's also massive game design issues like visual quality and then what sort of tracking controllers you have.
Yeah.
So
this sounds like an engine problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's mostly where it will lie.
Yeah, it's just, it's almost like you're having a format war within your own product line.
Some sort of a rift.
Yeah. Or a couple of rifts.
But for $400 for a completely standalone thing,
it's not bad.
We'll have to see what the visuals look like, what they can get out of it, how the tracking experience is, but it could be quite compelling compared to the whole wired setup on your desktop sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of looking to get into VR.
Okay. Cool. Next up. Oh, it's Ken again. NVIDIA announces RTX 2070s.
October 17th. That's all we know. Next.
Oh.
I mean, they didn't release any more additional details. We still, if you scroll down, we have the specs that we've known from their website, which still aren't the full specs.
Did we not have pricing before?
No, we had pricing.
Okay. It just wasn't available for pre-order.
Yeah, they never set a launch date. They just said October.
So now it's launching on that day? Or
it will be available. So I take it to believe that it will launch.
So did they open up pre-orders?
I checked on the NVIDIA site earlier today. It's still on Notify for the 2070. Okay. So I don't even know if they'll do pre-orders for this one. They might not.
They'll probably just make it available and you just order one.
Yeah.
Right. The specs are probably going to be proportionally what we were expecting them to be.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's been confirmed either way, whether this is TU104 or TU106. So whether it's cut down 2080 or whether it's the next smallest GPU, which would normally be like the GTX, the 60 equivalent, right? Like the 1060.
Yeah.
This still, it's an RTX card. So it has the Tensor cores and the RT cores. for all of that software level stuff.
Is the 2080 pushing the 104 like to almost the max of the die?
It's 1 unit disabled, I think.
Right.
So
you'd figure they'd probably bend them down to a 2070.
You'd think. That would be where
I would guess
my suspicions would lay.
Because, you know.
But 2944 versus 2304 CUDA cores, that would be quite a jump. I don't know how many cores are in one SM or Turing. I can't remember.
So the performance of this will probably fall where the 1080 fell-ish. Like if you go by the 2080 being like 1080 Ti,
that's I would seem
that's probably where they would. Right. I would guess they would target for that. Generally speaking, I mean the power looks to be roughly the same as like a 1080 was like 180, right?
Single 8-pin, I think. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get one in test.
And wow, only 180 watts on that cooler. It's probably just going to hold the overclock that you do.
Yeah, that seems like massive overkill if they're using the same exact cooler with the full vapor chamber.
Yeah, that's going to be more than enough for that, even if you push it.
It seems like it would be impossible to make a better third-party card. I guess noise.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they're reasonably quiet.
You probably don't have to run those fans very fast.
No, you wouldn't even really be taxing that thing. You're knocking like... You're knocking 70 watts off of what it's making. So, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And cool. All right. Next up. Wait a minute. Thought we already knew. Wasn't this already a thing? EVGA launches. Maybe they hadn't announced it officially or something? Because they were on their site.
No, they had. They were taking pre-orders. I think this is just kind of their...
I think it was the follow-up for the 2080.
Okay, so EVGA is launching their line of RTX 20 series XC Ultras, which is just like their ACX style, or if you're used to the ACX thing. Are they calling them this because it's not the full ICX thing with the thermocouple, with the temperature monitoring? Is that what's going on?
I believe they still have ICX branding because it's the ICX cooler without any of the sensor stuff on the PCB, which is coming with a later card.
Yeah, so
it's very confusing.
So if you're used to the ICX thing, meaning, hey, you also have this extra temperature monitoring, that's not the same case yet. With these, because they're using, I'm pretty sure they're reference PCBs.
I don't know that.
Well, I would think that they are if they didn't add the temperature monitoring, is my point.
Yeah, but considering how many custom PCBs we've seen already, I don't know.
Yeah, the PCB doesn't look like they've done anything special with it. It looks like the normal dimensions, but
yeah. We have the 2080 XC Ultra, I believe, in the queue. So look for
we got that
to come.
I think the TI is not for a bit still from them for this cooler style, right? Because I think it was like notify on their site even.
I'm not sure.
The one thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way on the EVGA site for these cards is you can SLI these. People are going to want to, but their order is limit 1. Usually, and historically, their order, if they're going to do a limit, it's always 2. They never go lower than 2.
Well, you wouldn't win at SLI 2080s.
No, I mean, even the TIs.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, it makes more sense if you're trying to go all the way and you want all the things. Yes, you get the best one and... get a couple.
But how many people out of 100 are going to buy 2 of these things when they come in at what, 1,300?
And I'm with you there. And given that it's like a $200 premium on the TI versus a $100 premium, like a base premium on the 2080, you might find people that get a couple of 2080s. Still.
But they shouldn't.
Can you still? Well, you get half the bandwidth, but you can still link them together. You can still do SLI.
You should always just buy the most powerful single GPU and then
agree.
SLI.
I agree with that.
If you need to still.
I've only SLI'd a few times.
It's also like a $70 bridge, so you're not saving a whole lot of money by going to SLI anymore.
There is that too,
which is pretty ridiculous. And we still haven't got our hands on a bridge, so
Is it kind of obvious that they're trying to push away from multi-GPU as much as possible?
Maybe a bit.
Yeah. It's a lot of extra development time.
There are other reasons.
Software.
There are other reasons to use the bridge if you're doing like workstation use.
Yeah, but they don't want to sell you these cards for workstation use.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the way NVLink works with pulling memory into one common pool is interesting. Like I'm doing some deep learning benchmarks, and you would be able to see significant performance benefits yet had another matching card in NVLink mode because you could increase the batch size a whole lot because you have way more VRAM.
Yeah, you can just share between both GPUs, right? You basically make it in one big memory pool on the two GPUs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you don't see like quite double scaling, but you see a good.
Yeah, because there's going to be a latency
like 1.8,
hit.
1.9x because you can increase the batch size so much for training and inferring.
It's pretty cool. Okay. Next up, more RTX facts for your enjoyment from Jeremy. What you got?
Yeah, there were more RTX reviews, like crap loads.
Color me surprised that there's RTX reviews. Is there like a whole list at the bottom? Oh, look at that.
This was the short one. The original one was probably about 30 or 40 links in it.
I hate to say this. I still haven't read a full RTX review from anybody.
Josh.
Well, Josh,
I know. No, I think I may have actually read. No. It was your tech piece.
Yeah.
On the actual
makes me feel great,
architecture.
Josh. Thanks.
But I didn't read the actual review. I love you, Ken, like a brother, like a son, a really pale son with strange red hair that wouldn't come from my genetic base. But anyway, what's wrong with me?
I don't know.
They all read the exact same.
No, I'm just
pretty
talking
much
about
got the exact same results.
With me. I think it's a lot, but anyway.
Josh and Jeremy just talk at the same time. It's like full duplex conversation.
We must have some really interesting latency today.
I don't know. All right, next up. Getting the most
but the only different test I saw was Kyle over at Hard OCP wanted to look into, so is it temperature or power? And so one of the tests that they did was just crank the fan up to 100% and go. And they saw a tiny little increase in overall frequency from stock of 1845 up to 1890.
Yeah, I mean, just from what we've seen is like, with the reference core on like 2080 and the 2080 Ti, like it backs off a few percent just due to the once it warms up, basically. They could have been more aggressive with their fan curve in stock form and not let it do that, but they were just obviously trying to strike a balance. Like we've seen GPUs launch in the past where, I forget exactly which one, but we've seen them launch. I was like, what did you guys do with this fan curve?
Yeah.
And we actually had to feed back, like either one way or the other. Either it was way overkill or it was too, underkill. I think they struck pretty much the perfect balance on these where you're not losing too much and you're trying to keep it as quiet as you can.
Honestly, I think the majority of the additional noise from these cards doesn't necessarily come from fan speed. It comes from
just air.
All the founders that I feel like they've all kind of had like loud fan bearings.
Oh, yeah.
Which seems unacceptable for an expensive card. And I only have a sample size of 2. And there were obviously early cards, so who knows?
Was it a founders where I was like stopping one of the fans? Yeah, it was one of the 2 fans that was noticeably louder and making kind of like a, not just like a regular, it's just louder, like there was an actual kind of intermittent ticky kind of noise coming from the fan assembly. So the kind of thing that would drive you nuts if you have an ear for it. It was driving Ken nuts over there.
No,
something's wrong with that fan.
It wasn't driving me nuts. I was just doing sound measurement, and I want to make sure something wasn't wrong.
All right. What do we got next? Amazon's new kit. Oh, yeah, all the stuff that Amazon launched. We don't have a list here, but one of note that Jeremy put in his post here is the Amazon Basics microwave for $60.
That's cheap for a microwave, even a crappy one.
That's seriously,
it's like a 700 or 800 watt microwave,
which is fine. Yeah. Which is fine, but that's like pawn shop microwave money.
No, so I was having this argument with my girlfriend.
Haven't been to a pawn shop in a while.
I was like, it's only $60.
Well,
and sorry, Alan's not the person to go shopping at a pawn shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a sign that says, "Please do not open microwaves before purchase."
You can certainly get microwaves cheaper.
Goodwill microwave money.
No, like new microwaves for like
You can from, like,
$40.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're cheap as chips now.
I was
But what
arguing
is-
with my
but what does
girlfriend
this one
about
do?
this because she thought this was an expensive microwave. I'm like, what are you talking about?
But what does this do?
Well, it integrates with Alexa. It doesn't have a mic or a speaker.
She's listening.
She is. So
She went away.
it
Judging
will-
you and your Hot Pocket addiction.
So you can talk to one of your Echo devices, or you can hit the button on front of it, and it will trigger whichever one it's linked to, and you could tell it to perform a certain action, like cook on medium for 8 minutes.
Oh no, this is so bad.
No. Okay, so it is pretty Internet of shit, but their justification for it is your microwave has a lot of features. Do you know how to use any of them? Do you know how to put your microwave on medium for 8 minutes?
I get all that.
Sure shit don't.
I get all that, but have you seen like the YouTube videos of like somebody plays back their to-do list from their Echo, and it's like their kid had ordered all these toys,
Yeah.
right? And like the list is just full of this, right? So when the kid hears you do that with your microwave, and now they're doing it, and now it's cooking nothing for 5 minutes and melting itself.
Oh, to make it even more fun, the Echo Plus will now talk to your smart thermostat. So when you're saying, Alexa, raise the temperature,
Yeah.
who knows what's actually going to get warmer?
Yeah.
So does it react to Alexa? It's getting hot in here.
She's listening to you again.
I imagine in making this microwave, they're smart enough to like put a weight sensor on the platter, so if there's nothing in it, it won't turn on.
I hope that's my point. It's like it's got to know.
But, yeah.
There's got to be some kind of safety there because
Yeah, it's weird, very easy to make fun of, but kind of has some application. I don't know.
tell your Echo to set the clock on the microwave to the right time. Maybe it just automatically, because it's got to have some intelligence.
Yeah.
Maybe it just automatically figures out the time. It just sets itself for once.
Yeah.
Mind blown. Just like
Yeah, but
little
sadly,
things.
you have to put in back in the wireless internet password when the power goes out.
oh, great. Yeah. So these will never have that feature enabled in the house with the VCR that's blinking 12 o'clock for the past 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And yes, VCR, like they still have that too, of course.
And when the internet goes down, you are no longer allowed to cook.
Yes, exactly.
No.
I forgot how to use that thing.
Buttons.
HP. Why is there an E there?
Is
HP
Enterprise.
HP Enterprise and AMD sitting in a tree, according to Jeremy. What are they launching?
Well, they're now suggesting AMD-based servers in preference to Intel servers for all of their customers.
Well, given the cost of Epic versus the cost of the crazy high Intel
And the
stuff.
shortages.
Yeah, this was
And
a price thing.
Shortages.
Yeah, that too. Well, they got to sell something, right?
And they're also a little bit miffed because Dell just passed them as the largest supplier for servers across the globe. So, well, drop your prices and imply that, probably rightfully so, Intel's going to have some shortages, and all of a sudden they might be back in first in no time. But I mean, hey, it's great news for AMD.
Yeah. Okie doke. Next up, Surface Hub 2. What the heck is this thing?
Oh, you haven't
It
seen
comes
this
with
thing?
reloadable cartridges.
So wait. Oh, okay. I was thinking that other thing that was a desktop.
No, that's the Surface Studio.
Okay.
So do you remember the initial Surface, the table computer?
Yes.
Right. So that got renamed to PixelSense when they decided they wanted to use Surface as a name for consumer stuff. Probably a good move ultimately.
Okay.
And then they launched the Surface Hub, which was like an 80-inch screen with, integration into Office and Windows and stuff like that. Like something you put in a conference room. You can write on it. One of those things.
Was that like one of the things CNN was using during the election things and whatever?
Pretty much. Something like that.
Okay.
Earlier this year, they announced the Surface Hub 2, which is more like 50-inch TV sized and just some really cool stuff. Like you can rotate it, and the rotation animation follows you as you turn the device, which is really cool. It's running this new OS I forget what it's based on, WCOS, whatever that stands for.
So it's like, is it like a 40-inch? 40 or 50?
It's something like that.
It's like on an easel with wheels.
Or you can mount it on a wall.
Is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like a really expensive whiteboard replacement. Has teleconferencing built in, that sort of thing.
There's a webcam hanging off of the left edge of it when it's in landscape mode, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it rotates clockwise there.
But
Looks like there's pens magnetically on the screen, like held to the side of it.
Yeah. The most interesting
you can hook a couple of them up together if you want, so you can have 3 or 4 in a row.
You can mosaic them. That's cool.
It's cool.
But the most interesting thing from our perspective is that they announced at Ignite this week that they're going to ship it running the old Surface Hub software in like Q2 of 2019. Mm-hmm. And then later they're going to release an upgrade where you can upgrade the CPU and all of that stuff and upgrade it to the new operating system.
On the old Surface Hub?
No, on this hardware.
Oh.
So they're shipping it with the old OS first, and then you like slot in this CPU upgrade, just like this cartridge that you pull out and put in, and you can get the new operating system on it.
Samsung tried that with their televisions.
Yep.
It's a good idea.
It was a great idea then too. That the Samsung thing, it was basically just dead on arrival because like I'm sure 5 or 6 people did that upgrade to their televisions. It was really a cool idea. It was really cool, like CES, like 3 CESs ago or whatever, to watch the guy on stage, like that's balls of steel right there, did the upgrade live.
Yeah.
Like pulled the brain out of a Samsung Smart TV and stuck another one in.
Yeah.
And it worked and it was cool, but you know, it just like, I gave up even trying to find the one for my set.
Yeah.
Like that was what made me get
honestly,
my first Samsung
just
TV.
rip it out of there and just have a dumb display.
Well,
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, dumb display in that it does absolutely nothing, including not turn on.
Yeah, but it's a cool concept specifically for this because this is going to be a $5,000 to $10,000 piece of hardware, and nothing will really change in the display probably. Yeah. So having the ability for enterprises to upgrade it, I'm sure Jeremy would be seen as a great benefit for buying this or for like the Google or the Samsung one.
Yeah.
I mean, it does make a bit more sense. And you're going to have all the Office 369 crap baked into it. So, yeah, if you've got a boss that likes to spend money, point him in this direction. And, you know, they're going to be it's a whiteboard, but it can do everything. And it was seen on CNN. And you'll be able to play with it.
Exactly.
That's not what I was looking for. Trying to get my link for my pick ready.
Come on.
Yeah, anyway. Wondering if your email was included in a data dump?
Probably.
Yeah, pro tip, it was.
The answer is yes.
Who got owned this time?
Oh, no, but it's just Firefox is wrapping Have I Been Pwned into their browser. And for people who are a little bit more, paranoid than the average person, when you search with this little add-in, it makes your email address into a hash and then sends that out to be searched. So you're not actually sending your email address in raw text in case, you're sending it to the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a chance to talk about the NCIX hack because it happened after the last podcast. We did talk about Newegg last week, but not NCIX, which was just the biggest shit show in the world.
They also got all their data.
Oh, you haven't heard about
all
this?
the data taken. I never ordered
just over a 250,000 people.
But they've been out. They've been gone for like over a year, right?
And their servers got liquidated with all the information. All the database is still there, and people bought the servers at auction and were selling them on Craigslist. Yeah. Including like
everybody knew about the dang auction too because Linus covered it.
Yeah. Yep. And we're talking about like employee records, the Canadian equivalent of social security numbers, like W2, like their equivalent of W tax forms, everything.
Damn.
The CEO's emails in which some illicit shit was found, of course.
Well, not that it matters now because like the company's gone.
Well,
what they're doing
still
is
presumably a sort of rich guy.
Yeah, and they're suing because at least in Canada, the data that they kept, it's illegal for them to have kept. They were never supposed to have it stored in the first bloody place. And they didn't.
What kind of IT people did they have that it's not protected through domain
Linus?
credentials and encryption.
Didn't Linus used to work there?
No.
Wah, wah.
Not in that department.
No.
Maybe he was that department. They were good. Like I did a lot of shopping there, and I'm sure that my info was on there somewhere as well.
Yeah.
But you always knew that they were not quite grasping what they were doing.
So there's your warning. If you literally ever shopped at NCAX, that
If you've ever shopped, your info's out there.
That's like just so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enough depressing stuff on that one. Strap balloons to a tank and go flying just because you can. And Just Cause 4. Nice title, Jeremy.
I call the game Just Cause because everything I do on it is, well, just because I could. Like, why are you asking me?
And you also had
Yes,
Just
I
Cause.
attached them to a hot dog cart and sent it into orbit. Why are you judging me?
I mean, just do it. Just.
But yeah, the ridiculous highlight of the 15 minutes or so video of gameplay that they put out is, yeah, he literally takes a bunch of giant balloons and attaches them to a tank, and it's steerable and drivable while it's up in the air as well. Video game.
How many balloons?
4. One in each corner.
4.
Yeah. You don't know what those balloons are filled with.
They could be filled with null space and they still wouldn't float it.
Filled with 0 point energy.
They're driving it while it's being attached to the balloons, so come on.
It's amazing.
Those games are so fun.
Oh, they are. They're just pure ridiculousness.
I didn't play Just Cause 3. It apparently had a lot of performance issues.
It was
but
bad.
Just Cause 2
Yeah.
and the multiplayer mod. Oh man. Good times had by all.
I still have Just Cause 2 floating around, and I play it more than Just Cause 3. Because 3 was just bad.
Yeah, well, it wasn't awful, but it was bad.
Hopefully they bring it back
I still got
around.
Just Cause 2 and the multiplayer mod. I should add that to the list for the Frag and Frog. That would be just
fun.
stupid.
Okay. Next up, if I can close this tab. Oh, that's a pick. Hey, we're at the picks.
It is pick.
I got to open some more picks.
I thought you were getting prepared for this, Alan.
I was working on it, but I couldn't catch up fast enough. All right. So
Amateur.
my pick of the week is I had one of those common fibers like Kickstarter carbon wallet thing. And it served me well, but it served me well for many years and started falling apart. So I figured I'd try one of those clip sandwich elastic things with RFID blocking. And I was looking around for one of those.
Is that a taco?
See, Josh, there you go.
Taco
Yum.
SSD.
They're just showing two angles. It's the same.
That's
wallet.
a carbon taco.
Yeah.
Oh, best kind.
So it's like this reconfigurable wallet. You can have a strap that goes around it and acts like a money clip, or you can have a metal money clip, or you can have nothing and just like the sandwich if you want. You can just do different ways.
You're saying it's a taco and a sandwich?
Sort of. Yeah, it's reconfigurable. You can turn your taco into a sandwich and back again. Company
I guess
name
if
is
you cut one edge, then sure, that makes sense.
I think they pronounce this MouZie, MOUZIE. Anyway, they're on Amazon. It's like $35 for like the wallet, and it's like a key holder at the same time.
Hey, weren't
like
you the one who got like the RFID dots you attached to the keys so that you could find them when you lost them?
No, I didn't.
I know somebody picked that at some point. So
Yeah, but
that
it's a
doesn't
wallet,
really help
It's a
you
wallet and
find your.
wallet and a matching key holder thing that I thought was pretty cool.
So, what was the last time you saw a car that had standard keys like that?
A car? No, it's house keys.
Yeah, but you generally have your house keys and your car keys in the same thing, don't you?
Yeah, car keys
Well,
nowadays are the stupid
yeah.
fob things
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, you can't really attach a fob to that.
No.
Just have a ring.
It does
Loop, so you could add it to your key ring.
If you could,
but
you could add that, or
It'd be
connect
quite
your.
ungainly at that point. 'Cause it's not exactly a small thing. Like it's pretty long.
It's like it's this little, acts like a Swiss Army knife kind of for your keys. It comes with a bunch of different like widths or lengths of barrels to connect, so you can have just like a crap load of keys on this thing if you wanted to. But I mean, the wallet's, it's cool.
Interesting.
And the tech support from the company is awesome because, like, I think one of the screw threads were like cross-threaded or stripped or something on this. And like all I did was like shoot them an email, and they're like, "We'll send you that part right away." I was like, "Okay, cool. I like that." Next up, who's next? I got some Corsair.
Who is always next? Jeremy.
It's okay. Corsair Vengeance LPX 16 gig 2x8 kit.
Well, we'll just stay with you, Allyn.
Yeah, I mean,
I just read it. Go ahead.
did a brilliant job.
How many Canadians is it?
210.
210 Canadians for that, huh?
Yep.
That's a lot of Canadians.
Also known as cheaper than what I paid.
Oh, well, and it's a DDR 3200.
That's not a bad price at all. It's 160
No, it's
US.
Yeah.
For some reason, the DDR 3000 is about $10 cheaper. So totally a good deal. You should get that instead of these. Yeah, go with the 3200.
This is the exact memory kit we use everywhere.
Yeah.
All over the place. It's like the only memory we use, essentially. We've standardized all of our test beds on it. Had zero problems with any of it.
Okay.
And it looks sharp. It's nice and minimalist.
And it's low profile.
No RGB.
Yeah, it is low profile. It just gets the job done.
Your RAM doesn't need to be super tall.
It doesn't need RGBs either.
No.
It just doesn't. Anyway. Next up, Josh, what you got?
You're gonna be shocked.
I'm shocked. It's an SSD.
It's a 2 terabyte SSD for for right now, $289.99. So $290 for a 2 terabyte slow probably SSD, but still.
Yeah, this is just the regular 3D SSD.
2 terabytes.
So like the random reads on this were okay, but the writes are kind of
Yeah, no, I got my wife the 1 terabyte a long time ago, and it's been great for her. And it was, inexpensive. It's probably about this price 2 years ago. But now we've got finally 2 terabytes.
I mean, that's
under $300.
It's 14 cents a gig, isn't it?
Hello.
That's
Yeah.
That's
We're getting
really
there.
That's encroaching on
Black Friday. We got to hit it.
Yeah, that's really. But this is one of those SSDs where like it came out at the same time where a bunch of the other SATA SSD makers had like all caught up on like the performance thing.
Yeah.
And this one was like behind them considerably. And it was like, I almost didn't even have the heart to do a review on it. It was just poor compared to the other ones. But the price was high at that time. So it was really just like not a good deal.
And then they started liquidating.
Yeah.
them.
And then they started, well, honestly, if they're making a 2 terabyte, that means they're not just liquidating. They're like adding to the line because I don't think they had a 2 terabyte initially.
No.
So they're kind of leaning into it. And honestly, they're probably just putting their lower binned, their NAND that can't do the faster speeds, the faster bus speeds. They're probably just throwing that at this. And I think it's a straight TLC. I don't think it does cache.
Doesn't have any cache now.
Yeah. So not good for like 4K random writes and stuff like that. But hey, Steam Game Drive, hell yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that's great.
Your loads are going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're downloading, the download might go slow if you're downloading the game straight to the drive. Like if it's a game.
Okay. Yeah. If you've got like fiber at 1 gigabit.
No. Like sometimes Steam games will download they'll do more random writes and you might actually notice a hit. Like we've seen, what would you say? Like the worst we've seen, probably like 20
megabit.
No. We've seen something like some stuff go like 15 or 20 meg per second writes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like
say.
where the-
Wow, my Steam client can almost
but that's-
hit that downloading.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Like if you have 300 megabit, you could conceivably start getting to that point. You might actually hit a point where the drive is a bottleneck, even for like your, non-gigabit internet. But still, it's going to be so close to the speed that, you probably won't notice anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that's good. That's definitely, that's like it's between that and like what, the Micron, like the 5100 or something?
1100.
Or the 1100 SSD. Yeah.
I would probably buy this over one of those just because the Micron one, you might have to work to get the warranty if something happens because it's more of like a OEM type drive.
Whereas this is
just a consumer product.
Yep, this is a standard retail product. Although, what's the warranty on this? Like 3 years, not 5, I would assume. I don't know if it's not listed.
I'd be shocked if it was 5 years.
I mean, it's probably 3.
Yeah.
I don't see it in the thing. But
warranty.
14 cents a gig for a 2 terabyte drive.
Yeah, I mean, damn. Just out of curiosity, the 1 terabyte is the same. 15 cents a gig. The 1 terabyte.
In March 2018, they extended the warranty period for the SanDisk Ultra 3D SSD from 3 to 5 years.
Well, nice find, Ken. 5-year warranty.
You better jump on this because I think it is a limited time sale.
Yeah, this probably won't be there when the drive.
5-year warranty on a seriously budget consumer part. Damn. Yeah, just do it. Do it in do it in the hopes.
Take my money.
Do it in the hopes that it breaks and they're not making them anymore and they have to send you something better in its place.
Now you're thinking.
See, there you go. But honestly, I mean, I don't really question like SanDisk's reliability generally. So like,
they're a solid group.
Yeah, should be a solid thing. Now, if you beat it up with a bunch of random writes, you might actually cook it. But you know, Steam game drive. Just
set your expectations low.
Yeah.
You'll never be disappointed.
It's solid state. It's 2 terabytes. It's faster than a hard drive by a lot. What more do you need to know?
Hell, buy 2.
Don't buy 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Ken, what you got?
Let's say you had a significantly more expensive SSD you wanted to do some stuff with.
Like an M.2 SSD?
Yes, like an M.2 PCI SSD, and M.2 NVMe, perhaps.
Right.
Let's say you wanted to hook that up to a computer externally. What would you do?
Like a desktop computer that doesn't have Thunderbolt?
Or a notebook?
Well, notebooks don't have Thunderbolts, but you know.
Notebooks can have Thunderbolt. Way more notebooks have Thunderbolt than...
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, but if you want to also hook it up to a desktop, meaning you want, like, because this is USB, not Thunderbolt, right?
Listen, you ruined it.
Sorry.
Damn it, Allyn.
You can now hook up M.2 PCI Express SSDs to USB 3.1 Gen 2. We've seen these bridges come out of China. They've kind of finally started hitting more. Western companies have started making their own and rebranding them. We tested one of the Chinese variants a couple weeks ago. It performs quite well.
Yep, it's a J-Micron controller.
Which isn't a bad thing in this case.
Yeah, it's just a bridge.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not like an SSD controller per se.
So this is the Chinese one we bought that doesn't actually have a name, that I bought on Newegg and had to wait 4 or 5 weeks to come over on the slow boat.
Slow boat, literally.
And then this, which we just got in, is the MyDigitalSSD M2X, which is the pick for $40.
Yeah.
Prime on Amazon.
It's not much bigger than M.2 SSD.
Yeah. Non-stock until October 3rd, but it seems like it'll be quite good.
Nice smaller housing. They machined in like heatsink fins into the housing itself.
Yeah, it's one solid piece of
extruded.
Yeah, extruded aluminum.
Actually, I think those are just extruded heatsink fins. I don't think they're machined.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then it comes with a thermal pad that you should trim down so you're only cooling the controller and not the flash. Obviously, listen to your Uncle Allyn on that one. Although for something like this, since the whole housing is going to kind of like get warm anyway, you probably are okay just using the whole thermal pad anyway. But yeah, I glanced at the results before we started. It's basically going to do the same thing that the one off the boat from China did in the roundup that I did like a couple of weeks back now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the same kind of thing. It's just going to saturate USB 3.1 Gen 2. You're get 10 gigabit out of it, about a gig per second. It's not going to go as fast as the NVMe part in it necessarily. Although if you find some, super budget like Intel like what 600p or something maybe, just for really cheap. Yeah. Like find an SSD that you know is only a by 2 SSD or by 4, but wasn't necessarily that fast, because you're going to be bottlenecked more by the USB side anyway.
This solves a problem that we have quite often. I don't think a lot of people run into very often, where you just need to grab a file off of a M.2 drive. I mean, IT people could run into this pretty often. You could use this to image new computers that have M.2 drives in it, whereas before you'd have to deploy the image on the notebook or come up with some other solution.
Yep.
Just the ability to plug an M.2 drive in externally is very beneficial.
One note on this, we'll have the review up probably before the next podcast, but one note on this, I believe it showed up as a regular, not 4K sectors. It showed up as a 512 byte sector device. It was a direct conversion, which I don't think the one from China did. So I think they had that controller configured differently.
Yeah. You do 4K sector size, so it's bootable on a Mac.
Yes,
which you might want for some of these products, but
it doesn't really hurt performance that badly on the Windows side, except for like, you know, if you're doing a bunch of like file table writes and things like that. There are some Windows writes that are smaller than 4K, but for the most part, anything that's just in the file space is going to be 4K aligned and you know, 4K clusters. So you're usually
what do you know about MyDigitalSSD as a company? Because they're kind of at the fringe, but they make some interesting products. And I mean, you know, their original BPX before the BPX Pro were, you know, still pretty fast, used the Phison controller, but they were really just dirt cheap. Yeah. And I've had one in my test machine for like the last couple of years, a year and a half at least. And it's been, you know, a fantastic drive. But what's the deal with them? It's
basically just a group of guys that kind of like, they were making some products before the BPX and those lines started, but they were just doing kind of like small, they almost did like the Tesla version. Like they started with a couple of small things and like kind of like built up and tried to make like this, but you know, the initial ones might have been a little bit pricier, but now that they're starting to ramp up their operation and get more products out the door, they're able to do better products for even cheaper. Case in point, the BPX Pro, which I also have just completed testing on. I haven't got the review done yet because we just ran out of time today. BPX Pro, which you picked last week, right, Josh?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, sometime. Yeah,
is a TLC drive, SLC cache, similar to a 970 Evo, except it beats it in several areas. So, and it's a drive that's like, what it work out to? It was like 25?
It's 129 for the 480 and 259 for the 960.
Yeah. It's like 25 cents a gig-ish.
Too much.
Compared to like a 970 Evo, which runs around 40, I think, 40-ish cents a gig. So you're talking nearly half the cost per gig of a 970 Evo. And I mean, it was beating it 4K random reads and writes. That's just ridiculous. Like it's 970 Evo, you'd figure is like, you know, usually the Samsung NVMe parts are the king of the crop. Now it's less than a year. It's already getting unseated by a product that's less than half the price. That's insane to me, right? It's really dang good performance.
It's like these controller people are finally figuring things out.
Yeah, well, it's Silicon Motion, and Silicon Motion is pretty good.
What, Phison?
No, I don't think this one's Phison. Or wait, is this one the Phison?
It's Phison.
Yeah, this one is the Phison one.
Yeah.
So even those guys have caught up now. Silicon Motion usually is the one trying to give Samsung a run for their money, and Phison's like more budget. Now Phison's more budget, and oh, by the way, they caught up. So, yeah,
cool.
This is good stuff from that company. But yeah, it was, I think,
and they're the first to have this E12 controller out.
Yeah, I think this is the first one that's actually the Phison E12 is in like a actual product, as opposed to, I think there were some, you know, samples from Phison floating around, like just you know, pre-production. But yeah, I think it was like 3, maybe 4 CESs ago. This guy named Doug just like emails me like a week or 2 before CES, like, hey, I might have like a product for you to look at. And, you know, okay, you know, I'll try to, you know, because CES is on my time to like meet all these, you know, guy's face to face. And I'm like, well, this guy might be sampling a thing. He might be like the face of the company. And so I'm like, so where you at? You know, and he was in like that back 9 with like the rows and rows of stuff. Like it was that it was like a warehouse off to the
Isn't
left.
Isn't MyDigitalSSD out of Nevada anyway?
I think they are, but like
I think so.
They were in like the back 9 warehouse full of booths with like the all little, you know, Chinese LED toys and whatever, basically. And they were sharing a booth with another company even. And it was just the guy there with like his technical, the guy that leads his tech side, like his development side. And like, he just had some, I think they were just BPXs in their blister packs, just like sitting on a shelf. And that's all I knew of them, you know, at first. Little did I know that these guys were going to really, you know, just...
They were going to push.
Yeah, they're
hard.
Seriously pushing. You know, it was BPX and they did the SBX, which was like just a buy 2 SSD, but like going for the budget side. And now you've got BPX Pro, which is similar to SBX pricing.
It's encroaching on 970 Pro performance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Especially with the 960 version.
The 1 terabyte capacity takes a decent jump in random performance. Like, I'm talking like, you know, it's for the random score, it went from like 20,000 to like 27,000 or something. And I think the 970 Pro is like 28,000 in that particular metric.
Yeah,
so
and for
like
$260, that's really tempting.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But we'll have the review of those up before the next podcast. If I'm lucky, it'll actually be up tomorrow since I have almost everything done for that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool stuff. So let's wrap this baby up.
I didn't mean for the USB to NVMe to go into a soliloquy about
I wanted to talk about
MyDigitalSSD.
I wanted to at least mention that guy on the podcast anyway. Just so that we can at least mention it this week, because like it's a good product. Performance-wise, you know, if you're thinking of pulling the trigger on that and you see that kind of a deal, then yeah, worth every penny, in my opinion. PCPro.com/podcast, where you can find the show notes for this show, all the stuff we covered. Twitter.com/Ryan Shrout or Twitter.com/PCPer. If you want to send us a note or drop us a line on the tweet thing. And with that, I guess I'll say good night and see you guys next week.